Hey guys, welcome to RG3 Tech Talk. In this video, we are going to learn about JSX and we will be using JSX more often in this tutorial. What is JSX? JSX stands for JavaScript XML. JSX is basically a syntax extension of JavaScript. It helps us to write HTML in JavaScript and forms the basis of React development. Using JSX is not compulsory, but it is highly recommended for programming in React as it makes the development process easier as the code becomes easy to write and read. XML-like code. JSX is a React extension which allows writing JavaScript code that looks like HTML. In other words, JSX is an HTML-like syntax used by React that extends ECMAScript so that HTML-like syntax can coexist with JavaScript or React code where we can write JSX code for elements and components. Simpler code. Using JSX, we can write code very simpler and elegant. JSX is not mandatory. We can write code without using JSX also. JSX is just an optional. JSX has tag name, attribute and children. Just like XML, JSX also has the tag name, attribute and children as well. Why JSX? JSX is faster. It is faster than normal JavaScript as it performs optimizations while translating to regular JavaScript. Templates creation. It makes it easier for us to create templates. Component based. Instead of separating the markup and logic in separate files, React uses components for this purpose. We will learn more about components in detail in other articles. JSX expressions. As JSX is an expression, we can use it inside of if elements and for loops, assign it to variables, accept it as arguments or return it from functions. Now we will create one simple component to check how ReactJS reacts to with JSX and without JSX. To do that, go to source folder, create a new folder and call it as components. Inside component, create a new file and name it as hello.js file. Now hello.js, as first thing you need to import ReactJS. Import React from React. Now create a function to display the data. Constant name as hello equals to arrow function within braces. Now we need to return what you want to display inside HTML page. Return within braces, create one div, inside that div create one more HTML element and type welcome or hello world. Now export this component by using export default hello. Now go back to app.js file, import this component. To do that, import hello from components and hello. Just remove whatever content earlier we had from this app and import hello component. Here we are just getting a warning because we have already used logo from default and we are not using it. Just remove it. Now go back to the browser and check the result. Here you can able to see hello world. If you go to inspect element, inside app container you have empty div and inside it you have HTML element. This is the way we have to create JSX component. Now we will see the same example without using JSX. Here I am going to comment out the existing code and writing the code without using JSX. To do that, we need to return and React.createElement of this create element. We need to pass at least 3 parameters. The first parameter is div, where we have used in earlier example like this, and second parameter is null. In this scenario, if you want to pass class or ID for this particular div, we need to mention here. This we will learn it in next session. Comma, and third parameter, it is going to be the text, whatever we are going to display in the browser. Now check the browser here. So it has displayed the text, but this is not the result whatever we were expecting. We need to put this inside h1 tag. Go back to the h1, go back to the example and create h1 and close h1 tag inside the content. If you see here, it will display as text. So let's modify this DOM element. Here, to do that, again we need to create one more element. React.createElement of first parameter h1, second parameter as null, then content as hello world. Now check the browser. If you see here now, this is what we were expecting. In this scenario, if you want to create only 1 or 2 lines of code, it will be fine. But if you want to recreate the same multiple elements, then you need to create multiple create element tags. Just to overcome of this, we have created using JSX file. Now we will see some of the JSX rules while writing the JSX code. Rule number 1, return method rule. If you have only single element, HTML element inside the return method, you don't need to mention braces inside it. In the same way, if you have multiple HTML elements, you need to wrap everything inside open braces and close the braces before the HTML content ends. Rule number 2, close all the tags. In JSX, we need to close all the HTML tags. In this example, we have a div, paragraph and image. For example, for paragraph, here we need to close the paragraph element, and even for empty elements, for example img, br tag and everything, we need to self close the tag like this. Here we are closing the paragraph tag, and this is called self closing tag. Self closing tag is nothing but closing the tag by using one space and forward slash. Rule number 3, camelCase rule. JSX turns into JavaScript and attributes written in JSX becomes keys of JavaScript objects. In your own components, you will often want to read those attributes into variables. But JavaScript has limitations on variable names. For example, their names cannot contain dashes or to be reserved words like class. In this example, for div, we have used className as all small letters. So instead of this, we need to write it as className equals to root, n should be in capital letters. Let's see some of the camelCase examples. Class should be write as className. Stroke width should be written as stroke width. This hyphen should not be used. Instead of hyphen, we need to use capital letters. Wherever we are getting the hyphens, we need to avoid a hyphen and use the capital letters. In the same way, background hyphen color should be written as background color with a capital C by removing hyphen. Font weight should be font weight. So full list you can find it over here. https://en-us/docs/web/api/element. JavaScript in JSX with curly braces. JSX lets you write HTML like markup inside a JavaScript file, keeping rendering logic and content in the same place. Sometimes you will want to add a little JavaScript logic or reference a dynamic property inside the mockup. In these kind of scenarios, you can use curly braces in your JSX to open a window to JavaScript. Passing strings with quotes. When you want to pass a string attribute to JSX, you put it in single quotes or double quotes. Let's see a small example over here. In this example, image class name, src and alt properties has been passed through strings. But if you want to dynamically specify src, alt text and other elements, you could use a value from JavaScript by replacing double quotes with a curly braces. We will see that example. We need to create constant as avatar equals to, just copy this URL and paste it here. In the same way, you need to create one more constant for alt text or description. We will be mentioning here as description equals to name of the person. Now you can call this constant directly by using curly braces. src equals to avatar and alt text as description. Let's see the output here. So it will be generating as src equals to whatever dynamically content we have created from constant, it will be shown here, and alt text as description, it will be shown here. This is the output. Where to use curly braces? You can only use curly braces inside two ways inside JSX file. As text directly, you can use the curly braces without quotes or less than or greater than symbols. Let's see a small recap of JSX, whatever we have learned in this session. JSX stands for JavaScript XML. JSX lets you write HTML-like markup inside a JavaScript file. JSX is optional, but JSX makes it easier to write React applications. JSX should be wrapped inside top-level element or React fragments if you have more than one HTML elements. All elements must be closed. Don't use reserved keywords or words, for example, class. With JSX, you can write expressions inside curly braces. Double curly braces represents an object inside the JSX curlies.